I'm Paul Probst, the president of Jordy Canid, the company that makes BlindSight, and I'm the BlindSight's inventor. This video is about doing any repairs, what you have to do to repair. We're going to do this kind of like you would do a Chilton's or an Audle's book. We're going to do complete teardown and putting it back together. Okay, so you can see just exactly how that works. So you can maintain this yourself, or give this video, or direct to this video, anybody who has to work on this for you, if it has to be worked on, and you don't want to send it to us. So we're going to do that complete teardown now. This is what we're starting with. This is the unit. You would take it off the dog's collar, right? And there's the collar with the unit. Okay, and we're going to start at this point and tear it down and bring it all the way back up. So here we go. We're going to set it down. Okay, the first thing for the tear down, of course, is get rid of the collar. I'm going to drop that on the floor over here. All right, this is just like you would do when you get a unit for putting a battery in or for changing the battery. We're going to take the 4 1/2-inch long 632 stainless steel screws that are used to assemble the case. We're going to take those out of the way. And of course, be careful not to slam anything into the transducer. It's the only part of this that really is in any way, delicate. You'll probably, over the life of the unit, most of this is going to be 10 years plus. The transducers are good for about 5 years. So you expect around 5 years something, you may have to change out the transducer. Okay, so now we've got this open. Is that what? Good? Okay. Now you can see there's a front panel assembly that contains the transducer, has some other parts attached to it, and this is, you notice it has these 2 automotive type connectors. Okay, and let's see if I can get those apart by hand. They are really not easy to get apart. There's one. Got the other one. Okay, so now we can take the front panel assembly and just set that on the side. Okay, and we yanked up a little bit too much. There's the neoprene that protects the circuit board. Now if you look now, there's this little light on the circuit board tells you that this thing is working. Okay, that and the little pulse if you had your ear up to this when it's connected. That's how you know it's working. All right. At this point, we can take the next assembly up, which is this is the electronics. Still got a battery connected. We'll disconnect the battery. So now we have the electronics, the 2 battery connectors. This is for a single battery use. When you use 2 batteries, you disconnect this part here and plug in another battery. So we'll put the electronics on the side. Now we have the case assembly and the neoprene pad assembly. I'm going to pull that out. You want to pull it out by gripping like the front and the back, and just kind of try to roll it right out of there. And there's this neoprene thing. Not pretty either, okay? Does the job, keeps everything packed in tight, and we'll put that on the side. So now there's the main case assembly. These are 1/4 20 1/2-inch long stainless steel bolts here, in the bottom, with nylon filled nuts. You notice the nut that you can't really see. I doubt if the camera's going to pick up the plastic in there. But these are they're that kind of lock nut, what they call elastomer filled nuts. I think it's usually nylon. At this point, we could take 7/16" wrenches, which is what's used for these 1/4 20 bolts and nuts. We could take these apart, move them around wherever we want to do. But basically, we have those parts. We have the case assembly, the front assembly, the neoprene pad, and the electronics, which I'm going to set in the case assembly for the moment. And of course the battery. And there's the neoprene pad. That's part of this. The neoprene pad is what protects the electronics. Now I'm going to put this all back together. All right. Put all the parts off to the side, except for the case. All right. Now the case has 2 corners missing and has a notch here. That's made to fit around this bolt, and this bolt. All right. These pads here are 1/4 inch thick. The bolt head is not anywhere near that thick, so basically what that means is the batteries that are here don't ever really touch those bolts. They're being held by the rest of the neoprene. You got to just kind of push this thing down into place, make sure it snaps in. Okay, there you go. Now we'll put the electronics in. Normally we put the electronics with the wires facing the top of the unit there, okay? And there's a notch in this piece of neoprene right here for the extra. I'm only using one battery with this, so this is the second battery holder and its little bypass clip. All right, I can leave that in there. I'll put this pad over the the circuit board, the electronics, and I'm going to reconnect the battery. Use good quality batteries. It simply isn't worth not doing it, you know. And so the battery is held, you'll notice it's held away from the bolt head by this heavy neoprene pad. And if you put a second battery in, you'd have the same thing here. This neoprene pad protects the electronics, wedges them between the neoprene in the back and the panel up in the front, the back of the transducer. Okay, so now these only connect one way, by the way. But putting them together is only slightly less difficult than getting them apart. There. And these connectors grab very well. Now, you want to spread this wire going up to the front panel a little bit so that by this bolt, you have one of these pink connectors and you have the other one at the top of the case. All right? Then put the top mostly in place. Look around and make sure there's no pinched wires anywhere. Okay, we've got no pinched wires. And it's going to want, the front is jammed up in all that neoprene rubber, so it's going to want to open up. So we'll hold it close by hand. Again, like I said, making sure no wires are going to get crimped in the edge of the case. I like to put two diagonals in first to get the case down pretty much into place, and then I'll put the other screws in. There. Now, I'll put the others in, and I'll go around and tighten all of them. Whoops. There we go. Now you would tear it down like that if you decided you needed to tighten the bolts holding the tie points on, to change batteries, things like that, to change out maybe a whole case assembly. You know, if you have this off the dog, you know, it's pretty safe on the dog. It takes a hell of a beating from the dog, but it can take that. But if you put it in the side and somebody runs over it or something, I'm not sure how well it would survive that kind of treatment. So you could end up having to replace the case assembly and save everything else. Okay. Anyway, now at this point, we would do just the opposite of what we did before. Put the back on the dog's collar. We put this on the dog's neck with the disc, the transducer pointed forward, pointed away from the dog. And let's see. And there we go. And you want to use a good collar like this, and not the collar that you're going to attach to. If you have other people handling your dog and you're worried about them using this collar, you can actually take this ring and take a bolt cutter and cut that thing right off, so that the collar that's supporting the BlindSight is only supporting the BlindSight and nothing else. Okay? Okay, well that's the complete teardown and reassembly on the BlindSight unit. You can see there, if you somehow manage to damage the electronics, nobody's managed to yet, but if you do, the electronics are in assembly with leads that go to the front panel, and they have the battery clips that can go to both the batteries. The one battery which powers the whole unit, and then the other battery actually only adds power to what goes to the transducer to provide a much stronger pulse. But that's it. Right now it would be back on the dog, and again, as the dog moves, it points itself at the horizon, which is what it's supposed to do. And most dogs will be able to do this as long as they have high frequency hearing.